Yesterday's ceremony was significant for one more reason, the presence of leaders from the neighbourhood. 7 of them were invited. We had the presidents of Sri Lanka and the Maldives, the prime ministers of Bangladesh, Mauritius, Nepal and Bhutan, and the vice president of the Seychelles. They were all invited for the oath-taking. Their presence also opened up an opportunity to advance India's diplomatic interests, and the Prime Minister made the most of it. There was a dinner last night at the Rashtrapati Bhavan. Prime Minister Modi met all foreign dignitaries there. He engaged with every leader one-on-one, and the seating arrangement at the dinner table was worth noting. Look who was seated next to the Indian Prime Minister. That's Mohammad Muizzu, the President of the Maldives. Someone who not very long ago labelled India a bully and won the election on the platform of India out. Muizzu was seen speaking with Prime Minister Modi throughout the evening. Imagine being a fly on the wall and listening to this conversation. Is a reset on the cards? Will Muizzu tone down his anti-India rhetoric? Honestly, we neither have the details of the conversation nor the answers to these questions. But after the dinner, a statement was released. It came from the Ministry of External Affairs. It said the Prime Minister had thanked the leaders for attending the oath-taking ceremony. He also reiterated his commitment to India's neighbourhood first policy and the Sagar vision, that's short for Security and Growth for All in the Region, SAGAR. Now, these are 2 important pillars of India's neighbourhood engagement. It is also a sign that the neighbourhood will remain a key focus area in Modi's 3rd term. The neighbours certainly expect more. Earlier today, we sat down with Tshering Tobgay. He is the Prime Minister of Bhutan, and he lauded Prime Minister Modi's commitment to work with his neighbours. What are your expectations from Narendra Modi in his 3rd term as India's Prime Minister?
My expectations? Well, looking at the track record, you can, I think, confidently say that 3.0, Modi 3.0 is going to be bigger and better.
When Prime Minister Modi took over in his first term in 2014, Bhutan was the first country that he visited. And as he wrapped up his 2nd term, Bhutan was the last country that he visited, and that too in the middle of the election season. And that shows New Delhi's commitment to this relationship. How much of a difference does this sort of a personal outreach and touch make to equations between 2 countries?
It's important, but what's more important is to understand and to acknowledge why Bhutan, why the neighbourhood. India is assuming its rightful place as a world leader. Yet Prime Minister Modi has repeatedly shown that the neighbourhood matters and that as far as Bhutan is concerned, Bhutan matters very much.
So this morning, S. Jaishankar hit the ground running. He's back as India's External Affairs Minister. As we just told you, he met all the leaders from the region today. No significant announcements were made. I guess the message is in the outreach itself, the presence of neighbours for this ceremony. It also shows their commitment towards their relationship with India. New Delhi has every incentive, every reason to reciprocate, and that means creating more synergies and interdependence. The Bhutanese Prime Minister had some suggestions on that front as well. There is a perception that India is drifting away from its neighbours. Do you share that perception, or do you think it's exaggerated?
Yes and no. If there is a perception that India is, you said, growing away, possibly economically. Economically, India has grown very quickly. By now, it should have been a $5 trillion economy had it not been for COVID. Had it not been for COVID, India would be the 3rd largest economy in the world already, a $5 trillion economy. But it's going to get to $5 trillion really soon, and then you are well on your way to a $30 trillion economy. The question is, what about the neighbours? Are we going to progress with India? And that's the second part of the question. India has always been mindful of its neighbours. Prime Minister Modi has made absolutely has said his focus is on the neighbourhood first policy. And this is why during his swearing in 2014, the neighbourhood was here. 2019, the neighbourhood was here. Yesterday, the 2024, the neighborhood is here, and I can see this continuing. But it's not just during the swearing in. I mean, India hosts the BRICS summit and invites the neighborhood. I was here. India hosts G20, invites the neighborhood. So it's very, very clear and it's very established time and time again that for the Indian government, and in particular Prime Minister Modi, the neighborhood matters and matters a great deal.
So the neighbours want deeper economic integration with India, and some possibilities are already opening up. For instance, yesterday Bhutan and Bangladesh held a bilateral meeting, and this meeting happened before the oath-taking ceremony. They discussed a proposal for a hydropower project. Bangladesh wants to import hydropower from Bhutan, but geography and borders are posing a challenge. There is no direct way for Bangladesh to get electricity from Bhutan. For this agreement to materialize, for it to work, they need India. They're working on a tripartite transit agreement with India. So economic integration will be a key priority. The obvious challenge would be China. The new government will have to confront the old China problem. Their rapidly expanding presence, China's growing investments and increasing patrols in the Indian Ocean region. They're sending what they call research ships, but these are believed to be spy vessels. Earlier, there used to be 3 such visits in a year, but now there are 12 to 15 ships in a year. So India will have to have a strategy to counter all of this. Then, of course, we have Pakistan. In Modi's first term, Pakistani Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif was also invited for the swearing-in. But since then, Islamabad has been dropped from New Delhi's guest list. The relationship is frozen and a thaw is unlikely anytime soon. And these are the realities that India must work with. It's going to need all the help it can get from its neighbours to advance its interests in the region and beyond.
Firstpost reports from the world's second largest continent. Hello, I'm Alison Lagrange. A very warm welcome from Durban, South Africa. We get you the news and the newsmakers from Africa. From elections to climate change to innovations and opportunities. As the world's attention shifts, we report from Africa, the heart of the global south. Join me every weekday live on Firstpost.